use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Smokes. Whew. Guys, we got to get moving. It's Christmas Eve. We're not doing any opening soliloquy. We've got Dune Prophecy finale episode just popped off on Sunday. It's basically a feature-length film. I had no idea it was that long, so we got to rush my way through the view and the review so we can do all the Christmassy kind of stuff. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah to everybody out there that's going to start watching. Right now, if you haven't seen Dune Prophecy on HBO Max, I recommend you peace out, pause this, do whatever, go watch it and come back. Everything that happens from the last word out of my mouth right now is going to be a spoiler on this episode because there's no way to talk about this. There's no way to talk about this show without spoiling the hell out of it. You just can't. It can't be done. It's layered. There's nuance. There's character work. All kinds of stuff.
So you've been warned.
You've been warned. You've been warned. I have King Z. We have Mages Guild is back. What's up, buddy? Thank you for coming on. I know our schedules don't jive, but you are always welcome, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll try to make everything I say as quick as possible for the interests of your family.
I appreciate that, and we thank you because there's still much ado for this Christmas season. But barring no technical difficulties, guys, we'll start with Mages real quick. Just give me a quick opening salvo, your impressions of this episode as itself and how it did its job as a finale episode.
The first watch, I was willing to give this 10 out of 10. It was so emotionally impactful, and all of the music and the acting and performances were incredible. But on the second watch, I had to knock that down a couple pegs because of some things that I noticed in the show that kind of just didn't make sense, were a little contrived, and were quasi-lore. There's something in there that's quasi-lore breaking.
Okay, so that's and for somebody like you, for guys like us, a semi, even a quasi lore breaking thing can be a big point of contention. So when you say it knocked it down a couple of pegs from 10, are you specifically saying it's down to like an 8.5? That's where we're landing.
I'm going somewhere between 8.5 out of 9 on my third watch. I'll give it a final score, and I'm going to review this in an article when I have the time. It's a bloody shame. My Dune article for episode 2 is still up there, and it still hasn't even gotten 1,000 views. Whereas my episode 1 got 1,000 views in a few days, and it has 8 reposts on it.
This people are sleeping on this series, dude. And like we were talking pre-show, renewed for a season 2. This show is going to come back with a vengeance. I think it's hitting the spot for Dune nerds and people that are open to a new, more nuanced, slower paced sci-fi tale. So I think this show is going to be successful for a while. King Z, what do you got for me? General thoughts, and did it stick the landing as a finale for you?
Well, just following up on what you said, I think the viewership of our demographic is really looking for a good sci-fi type show, and I think this one hits all the spots. But on this episode, it definitely stuck the landing. It has the broken ankle, but spun 3 times in the air and stuck the landing, just like in the Olympics. I was so happy with this episode. I've been, as much as I have been for the whole series, I can't wait to start talking about it. But if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. If you're watching this video, go watch the whole series. It's all out now. All 6 episodes are ready to stream. So give it 2 or 3 streams.
No excuses.
I concur, dear audience. Watch the show. This is not how House of the Dragon ended. This show absolutely nailed it in the end.
I mean, I wanted to, just not to get too sidetracked. This will be my one sidetrack for the day. And Mages in particular, because I know you watched House of the Dragon like I did. King Z sat that one out. Do you think that that the streaming platform can get bleed over in people overlooking other IPs? If IP A doesn't do well or flubs the landing, will people overlook a completely unrelated genre, unrelated IP, just out of like retribution or out of spite? Do you think that plays in?
I don't think it's spite. I think it's lack of confidence, because they'll watch something and they expect, like with House of the Dragon, people expected a big battle at the end. Yeah, and they my opinion, again, they ran out of money. They couldn't do it. They're going to save it for the next show. Dune didn't make this mistake. They took their budget. They said, we have enough money to make this much content, and we want to have a good ending, not fail again. I mean, not that the House of the Dragon was a failure, but definitely a lot of people were disappointed and checked out.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's jump into this episode here, guys. Lots to talk about in this episode. It ran much. I think it was the longest episode of the season. It's almost borderline feature film length at like an hour and 20-minute total.
28.
1 hour 19.
28.
1 hour
It's
19.
too much. It's too much. It needed to be a double. We needed more time. But it opens, and even in its opening scene, it gets off to more information you needed, great performances. But I'm going to let King Z kind of run the show on the rails so we can get in and out with the hard time limit tonight. So King Z, how do we start?
All right, so it started off with Tula hearing the voices of the past, and then she turns and looks out, and she's reliving sister, actually it'd be mother Donatalia and Dorothea.
Dorothea.
Yeah. Yep, you got it.
And her Valia killing her, when then them posing it as a suicide, that she was so heart-stricken from the Reverend Mother dying that she had to take her own life. But it shows that scene, and then them getting their story straight. But then it breaks off into another where Tula goes bolting off, and Valia's like, "I'll deal with her, y'all," and they're like, "We'll clean this up." She goes after Tuya, and this is where you find out that she's pregnant, which we found out in the last episode that Desmond Hart is Tula's son.
Yep.
And then you're wondering, like, how did Desmond, and them not still be together? And then they have that conversation of like, we'll raise him the way raise it. They said it at the time because they didn't know if it was
they
a boy
didn't have
or
a
girl.
gender, right?
Yep. And they said that we'll raise it the way we want to. He's like, as the Reverend Mother, I get to do things how I want to do it.
Yeah, we'll do things our way. And I noticed a recurring theme between them two throughout this episode too. Is that their catchphrase is sisterhood above all. But when she's talking to Tula, every now and then she says sisters above all.
Yeah,
like,
I noticed that as well. That's absolutely intentional, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's like there's a joke on the show called The League where they're talking about the group of friends, and they're like, we're all the UN, but these two are the Security Council. And that kind of reminds me of these two right here. It's like, oh no, the sisterhoods, the UN, we're all together, sisterhood above all, except us two. Sisters.
I really love that this show has not only set off and pay off within individual episodes, but across episodes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things about it. 100%.
That's one of the things that make this show so good. On top of the writing, is that they had a clear story arc guide to it. Like they had it set, like how each arc is going to flow and how each character is going to be different from the way they began.
And we see that with Tula a lot over the last few episodes.
When you write a show like this, you always want to have basically a manual of how everything is going to pan out, how all of the characters behave, and not go off the rails and do something stupid with the characters. This is why The Acolyte failed, and these shows are a success.
And proof's in the pudding, like you said. Go ahead, King.
And one of the other things you need to look at is this show. This show was directed by 3 different directors. One did 3, one did 2, one did 1. It had 3 different cinematographers. I think each director had their own cinematographer they used with, and it had 3 different editors as well.
And it becomes so, and it's so consistent. You know what I mean? The presentation of it is very consistent. Yes. I would not have told you that if you told me that. The same way we were looking for those kind of differences when we were watching Andor season 1. We're like, no, it's all consistent. Like the look, the grade, the cinematography, all those things. It's all like they sat down with the boss, and the boss was like,
put
your style on some stuff. The showrunner, put your spin on some things. But here's what I need. But after that, here's where you can be flexible and creative. And we definitely get that in the show. I couldn't tell you who directed what episode or not because it's all very even.
It should always be seamless.
Exactly. And that's what this is. This is a perfect integration of multiple teams. But keep us moving, King.
All right, going in, we go to where do I have this? The sisters. I did their stories here. Okay. We drop back to the doctor who came in to do the initial investigation of the sister who caught fire and had the biological weapon on her. And then they were investigating what what it was and like why it happened the way it did. And then they were like, well, maybe we could come up with a cure for it if we could figure out what it is, kind of like how the Reverend Mother fought the poison the first time. We could build the same type of thing inside of us. So Tula said she was going to do it, but then the doctor's like, this is going to be really hard. I've been trained for this. Let me do it.
The Star Trek code for that is red shirt. That's exactly a red shirt. Like you introduced a brand new character to do something dangerous. Okay.
Well, she was in the episode too.
You go into this expecting her to succeed.
Oh no, I didn't. Nope. I was like, nope, red shirt. The reason she's doing it is because she's dead.
So if you notice, she has this little blue diamond on her head. Yeah. That's a seal of the Suk School. They're a different one of the houses, schools of Dune, and you would think that between being a Suk School doctor and a Reverend Mother, she would be able to do what she's doing.
Don't get me wrong. I knew she was qualified. I was just like, I know why you're here, and it's so Tula can survive until the end to get to Desmond Hart. I just felt it.
I'll quickly mention that this scene is one of the things that detracted because of those little boxes or cubes. I don't know what those are supposed to be, but when a Reverend Mother converts a poison, they do it inside their body. They don't do it inside little chambers. So I don't know if those are supposed to be some type of internal scan or if those are supposed to be physical poison or physical virus being attacked in those chambers.
I'm gonna go with the scan based on the thing she placed on her forehead so she could see the battle.
Oh, you're right. There were 3 of those and 3 boxes. So that makes sense. There's a projection of what's going on in her mind. That makes sense.
I was kind of thinking too, Mage, just like your first thought on it about it, is it actually being extracted? I work in medical, so I was thinking, is this some kind of dialysis like driven psychokinetic process? But you're right, there were 3.
That's just not how the Bene Gesserit thing works. So if those were projections from those scans, I will bring it back up to a 9.
Yeah, I believe there were projections from the stand because it was just like when she was talking Lila through her battle to get her the agony. She was talking her through it too. So this way she could see what she was going through to know what to say to her, why she was battling.
I think it was there for our benefit as well, just as the viewer. Where it's easy enough if we shot that scene to not have a visual aid and just have you agonizing on a table.
That's true as well.
It's there for a visual reference, absolutely, and that's why I didn't harp on it more. But
I'll say this: the aesthetic of the show has lent itself to those kind of visuals that are interesting to watch. So it's not just, as we often complain about, feelings in hallways, feelings at a table, feelings in an exam room. There's something interesting going on for me to watch while they're doing the drama, and I appreciate that. I do.
And then you have stuff going on in the background as well. Like this is a master class on how to do subtlety and just some subtlety. We'll just stick with subtlety. It's just a master, nuance stuff like that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you, homie.
It's that type of stuff because like stuff that usually would be said isn't said. Like you just know by the way they look at each other that's what it said. Like just a quick cut to the end where she was like, "Who's going to stop me?" Instead of saying "I am," she just looked at her like, "That's just perfect." You don't have to say it; it's implied.
It assumes you're not an idiot in watching the show.
Yes.
Which I also appreciate.
This is very important. Stop treating the audience like toddlers.
Yep. Dude, take the training wheels off, man. Either people get it or they don't, but you treating everybody like they're 5 has not done you any favors in a lot of programming across big genre.
And exposition dumps are so horrible to begin with.
Yep.
There's a technique with direction where you just want to limit the dialogue and use visual cues, and this show does it perfectly.
Absolutely. Scene to scene. I'm all over the place. I see the little things, but I'm leaning how I lean. Anyway, keep us moving.
No, I was pointing to him like what he said.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to move out of. I thought you were far over here.
No,
you didn't do that. Yay! I'm an idiot. There we go.
These directors are such elitists that they just think that they're the smartest person in the room, and everyone else is an idiot. So that they have to write their scenes and they have to direct their scenes, thinking that everyone's an idiot.
Yep,
it's awful.
The hubris, creative hubris. All right, keep us moving, dude.
So the biggest
Oh, yeah,
part to take out of that is one, the doctor gets fried,
Yeah.
and two, you find out the harder you fight it, the more
quicker
it
you
fights back. Like it
And the
learns
quicker
how
you
to
burn.
fight back. Yep, the quicker you burn, and that it's fear driven.
Which is the
I spent
best
the
part of it.
entire episode waiting to hear "Fear is the Mind Killer." We got close.
Yep. Then we get to the after that is when we get the title scene, and then we finally get moved over to the Emperor.
Dude, this was before the damn title sequence, and it was like this is a whole crap episode of the Acolyte by itself done right in like 12 minutes, and then here comes your title screen. Continue.
Yes.
Still,
Continue.
best of my I want to praise the music in this show.
Very
the
good.
title sequence is great.
Yes.
The music is great. And the score throughout all of the episodes is always fitting. And it goes with the emotional beat so well. I should have done more research. I need to know who the composers are, but that'll come later.
I just want to piggyback off Mage's point on the music real quick. You know, one of the things contemporary things get accused of is telling their story only through the musical cues and the score, and then it's like adding a laugh track. It's sometimes the cheap trick that's used where they can't deliver dialogue, exposition, storytelling. They can't do any of those things, so they lean heavily into the music, especially with trailers and like nostalgia beats. But this show isn't that. Like you could mute this and still get the effect of the scene through the direction of the performance, minus the actual score, and that makes it even better when you hear it.
Yeah, as I've said through numerous of our reviews, music is there to tell you how to feel. That's why the music scores are in movies and TV shows. It's there to tell you how you feel. It's also like the way they use color. Like if there's someone who's supposed to be like chilling, like we just did a review of our favorite Christmas movies. We had the Muppets. When Ebenezer Scrooge first comes into the scene, it's a very bluer shot to make how cold it was around him and stuff like that. If it's more yellowish or orange, a more warmer scene. It's
more happier.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's the way they use those type of cues to let you know how you're supposed to feel in that scene.
All right, where are we going next?
All right, going next, we get to the torturing of Swordmaster Atreides.
This guy. This is the best torture scene I've ever seen. I'll give 5 seconds on it. He's still in like suspensor rig, and they just keep throwing him at the wall. Throwing him at the wall. And I'm like, you don't even have to beat you don't have to risk breaking any knuckles or spraining your wrist.
Nope.
You're just sliding this dude like he's on a clothing rack, and he's cracking his head on the wall.
The sad
funniest shit I've ever seen.
The sad part is that he and Desmond Hart are cousins.
Oh, wait, who?
Yeah. Yep, they are.
That's of course. Yeah, I'm like, wait, the guard? Like, wait, how do you know? They didn't even name him. He didn't have any dialogue. No, of course. Yep, that's some weird shit. But I just thought it was funny just watching him get railed.
But the interaction between them is great. Because like Atreides is like, I have no love for the sisterhood of this, but I hate you and everything your emperor stands for.
That was boss line when you're getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, well, Haviko is such a weak emperor. I can understand, but
they could not portray that better in this series either.
Fact. You know, listen, and handing it to Mark Strong, who's a great actor who can play this kind of douche knuckle, who's just getting absolutely fleeced by everybody around him, like and doing the puppet dance thing.
Yeah,
this is a great resolution for him when we get there.
That is from the books, but it's different characters, as I've mentioned before. It's really his brother that runs the Empire.
Yep. I think this was better for the show though, because now when we
much
get
better.
that,
Much better
when we do the skip to the end scene, and it's basically every time he thinks he's operating from a position of control in his own choosing, he's wrong, and somebody else reveals why they're more in charge than he is until he makes the final decision that he makes, which I still thought was kind of like, yeah, you think that's a pretty boss move, but you're still,
that came off to me as idiotic because
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's a desperate act by a desperate man.
He's literally just doing what the sisterhood wanted. They wanted to kill him off. So why does he do this? He's playing right into their hand.
But the way he did it, he controlled it. That's the point of that scene.
But he still loses. So
but he was losing anyways. He had no power.
Dude, you're the emperor. Do some other shit.
The emperor has no clothes.
Execute all these points. You can do some shit.
I'm going to tell you a lore bit here. In the books, the Emperor goes to Lampetus, which in the books is where the Sisterhood are set up, not on Wallach 9, and he literally slaughters a bunch of them. He goes through looking for. I'm sorry. He went to Rossack in the books because that's where he thought the computers were, which is where they were, but the Sisterhood dismantled them and hid them. He spends all of this time making himself a fool trying to find them, and in the end, he kills off every Sister Mentat. Because he said, I came here to destroy thinking machines and computers. You've admitted that the Mentats in your Sisterhood are your computers. They're all dead. And it really sours the opinion of him across the Imperium.
And he was already operating from a position of general weakness anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So this moves us right into the most pivotal point, I believe, that actually set all the actions into place of what happened. Is you have Princess Nes coming to free Swordmaster Atreides there, and she gets busted by her mom trying to do it. Then tries to play the and then her mom just like arrests her, which changes everybody's plans.
It's every time I get a grasp on who's controlling what or who's actually going to come out ahead of what, because we all three said it last week. Clearly, the princess is going to try to spring this guy, and they're going to make their escape in la-di-da. That's the obvious. Did not expect her mama to roll through and be like, "I wish you would come to me sooner."
No, that was definitely an interesting twist, and I respect it because this is very much how the world of Dune operates. It's always political. It's always plans within plans and people striving for power. That's sort of the point of the stories. Who is in control is never a guarantee.
And very short-lived, apparently, in several situations and circumstances, really.
With the exception,
like it shifts constantly.
With the exception of Leto II, yes.
Yep. So
I think he reigned for 3,000 years.
But a way big outlier, you're saying, in terms of how these power dynamics usually last.
Well, he was the final Kwisatz Haderach in Frank Herbert's novels.
Okay. So he's the end of the line.
Yep.
No, not end of the line, but he was the ultimate Kwisatz Haderach.
I should have said final form, not end of the line. Final form. All right, keep us going.
All right, so we're going to strip over the quick scene with for Francesca and
I loved her. She's so gorgeous.
And the Emperor.
Guys, question. I don't, at the risk of being the racist white guy in the room, is Francesca the older version of the younger Indian sister that's part of Valia's group?
Yes.
Okay.
And that when we get to the computer
different.
Scene, when she reveals this thinking machine, you see where she comes up with the plan to imprint.
Okay. All right, just I remember that, but even still, I'm like, okay, they obviously their ethnicity is very similar, but their skin tones were different enough that I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but let me just ask the professionals here. Okay, good, thank you. It makes sense because each of those people in Valia's core group have had massive roles in what's going on.
Those were her loyals.
Those were people,
that she
right?
left.
The loyalists.
I was absolutely shocked that when they showed the first scene and they had witnesses to this execution by Valia. When they first showed this, I thought Valia was alone, and then they bring in these other three. This is what I mean about setup and payoff across episodes.
And evolution of your understanding, where and again, Kingsley hates this, I'm going to do it to him. Like, we had 2 episodes in The Acolyte where they did their yada yada stuff in episode whatever, and then in a different episode later on, it was 80% the same footage, but they threw in 3 instances where they wanted you to see things from a different perspective. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that because we already knew those characters were involved, and I didn't need to see it from their perspective. In this show, like you just said, Mages Guild, we didn't know there were witnesses to this shit. So them being revealed and entering the frame and being part of what happened and being part of the cover-up is a big deal. It's evolutionary in what these characters mean to each other, their bond and their impact on events that go through every level of the story that follows.
That's what happens.
Mastercraft. Good show.
That's what happens when you have good writers versus Leslie Headland.
There it is. Or a ham sandwich, whatever you have handy. Sure, it's the same thing. So Francesca scene, sorry, Kingsley, I side railed. That's
So,
the only time
I was just trying to go quick with that because it
Yeah.
was just them talking about their relationship and then how he wanted her to stay and like she was going to leave because
Oh, the bedroom scene.
her boy was gone and on the his fleet by now, and he's like stay, and that's when they get interrupted and he finds out what happens towards daughter. And then you have the scene with him with Desmond Hart, and he was like, the only important thing from that scene that I would take from, other than he's telling her to stay, is that he said, set up a meeting with the Supreme Mother and with me and have that conversation. And then he goes to Desmond Hart and tells her that I'm having this meeting. And he was like, and I'm sending my wife on this galactic goodwill tour. Yep. Got to sell those war bonds.
War bonds. Yep. Familiar with that.
I really expected for Valia to take more advantage of that meeting than she did, and just to follow through with her original plan is a bit bold. Because
it was bold, but
she could have continued to manipulate the Emperor, and
maybe she knew
decided,
there was only 6 episodes.
I actually understand her motivation. She doesn't care about him anymore. He's was a useless idiot, and she wants Yanez.
Yeah,
she just
Yanez
wants
is the goal
over
the
anything else.
Thing.
Right, and Yanez is down and ready. Like that's the thing. Like she wasn't a hemming hawing child and not willing to take the plunge. She was down.
Yeah,
I still think that she could have convinced the Emperor to get Yanez out.
Yep.
But the way it plays out is more exciting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
but the reason why
I'll give it the factor of cool.
The reason why I don't think it would have worked out is because of the coup scene that happened between his wife and Desmond Hart before he meets her in the throne room.
Great continuation on that growing alliance, romance, relationship, like whatever their intertwined insanity is evolving into. That was not unexpected, but when you actually see it executed, like I don't know how further into the episode it happened, when Haviko goes to tell the wife, you're going here, there, wherever, and she's like, nah, dog, I'm not leaving.
That's a coup scene.
And then Hart comes in from behind her, and he's like, I thought you served only me. And I'm like, dude, you didn't see this shit coming?
He's like, you made your choice.
Right.
The question it raises in my mind is whether the Emperor's soldiers are more loyal to him or more loyal to Desmond Hart, in which he could have said, arrest him, arrest her, banish them, whatever. I think that Desmond Hart as Supreme Bashir, and I'm going to call him Supreme Bashir. I don't care if the show doesn't use the Supreme title. That's his role. And I think that the soldiers are probably more loyal to him at this point.
1,000%. And we see that in the scene where dipshit Mother Valia is on the throne.
Dude,
he tells these two to arrest
dresses
her.
him down.
Dude, but not even that part. Dude, the fact that he tells his guys to arrest her and he has to tell them twice.
They hesitate.
I'm the fucking Emperor. They hesitate. And he's like, dog, no, I said arrest this bitch.
Yeah.
And they still don't they know better than to lay hands on her. You know what I'm saying? They just walked her out the room because she left. She led them out of the room.
Yeah, because that's exactly what she wanted. She said that when they had that meeting.
I'm gonna get myself arrested.
I want to get arrested. And then I'm bringing Theodosia in there to pull her stunt.
But the
show, by the way, mispronounced Tleelaksu, but I'll give it prop. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and that all of the other people, literally, that I've ever heard pronounce the word are wrong.
Could be. 50-50 Major Skill. 50-50. But yeah, that was one of the most epic dress downs I'd ever seen. Like I felt my fellas cringe up back into my body as he was on the receiving end. Like that was secondhand cringe. I almost had to leave the room and come back later. Like I can't stomach that when I watch shows. I just can't. But she got him good.
Yeah, she just straight dressing down, told me exactly what was going on and what his whole point in life was. That's to do what I want.
You can literally feel his scrotum retracting during
That's what I'm
scene.
saying. That's what I said. I could feel them. They were like up here. They made it like up to my neck. Like, oh God, dude, end this. Yeah. Like, throw in the towel.
Do you think Francesca was really interested in you? You were an assignment.
Oh my God, that was the best part because she was. Dude. You can see it in her at the various points in these conversations she had with him.
You'll see it definitely with the confrontation between the two of them.
Well, dude, but because she doesn't go through with the plan.
Yeah.
When they show the breeding line scene, it just makes you understand that all of what she's saying is absolute truth. She's not
1000%.
lying to him.
Nope.
She's just telling him
Yep.
the facts.
Yep.
And that was the scene that was right before all of this happened. Is they did that flashback scene in the at the thinking machine. I forget what she calls the machine. It starts with an A.
Anarule.
Anarule. It's named after the Reverend Mother.
Nice.
And they're like, what would make the perfect bloodline? She's showing her loyalist. The
great work, the machine.
The great work, yep.
Yeah.
And then she brought up Leo there, and then brought up the Empress. And it was
she brought up Havoco. He's not in charge yet, but he's prone to this and this.
The
quality.
Prince. They even said that, the young Prince.
Yep. And then Natalia Arat, prone to faith and loyalty or whatever.
Yeah.
Two
and
qualities she had were.
She's just a kid, and he's there. He's like, and that's when we'll send Francesca. She's like, are you talking about imprinting?
Yep. I'm like, oh, it's all coming together. Oh no.
And then she has them leave, and then brings up Tula's kid, and talked about it's the first time a Harkonnen and Atreides mixed. And it was like, your son's desperate for great things, and like, it's a boy. Like it was the gender reveal.
And again, I said that episodes ago. He is the prototype Kwisatz Haderach for the sisterhood. They're going to see the need to find a genetic match between the Atreides and the Harkonnens, which is what they had planned in the original novel. They wanted to match them. They wanted to have another generation of Atreides that was female to breed with a Harkonnen male.
Go.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to learn more about imprinting, Heretics of Dune is where that comes from, and it is a great story. This is that story focuses on the Bene Gesserit as a whole when the Honored Matris come in from the outer universe after the events of God Emperor of Dune.
Okay.
Let's start listing all these out so I can actually pick up these audiobooks. I have to hit you up for a list of them. The must reads.
I've got them all if you want them. If you want to buy them, I would recommend that first. But if you can't afford it, if you just want to have a listen, and then if you like it, buy it afterwards.
We'll sort those details for sure, because I'm getting, as we talk more about the lore, it's interesting and unique enough, and I realize that this stuff is now old enough that it's inspired a lot of the other sci-fi and genre stuff that I do enjoy coming later in life. Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Trek, all the other smaller IPs, things like that. I can see the influence from Dune now, and I'm more interested as I'm older now than I was.
As much as I hate to say it, Dune is the inspiration for the Acolytes lesbian space witches.
I'm sure, but they did it wrong, and screw them.
Yeah, of course.
We are. That's where we're at. Kingsley, move us along.
All
Stop, please.
Moving on. So this is we're going to move up to back to Wesleyan 9, where the Rebel Girl is checking in on
Wallach. Names, dude. Wallach. I'm gonna get you some title cards.
Yeah.
People names, not location names. Damn it. One job. God.
So this is where the Rebel Girl is checking in on Lila. Or I got it right. Lila.
Yeah.
Huh.
You did it right.
You got one. And then you stopped yourself.
Yep. Checking in on her, and Tula has now left as well, and you see one of the other sisters like listening in on what the other sisters were saying, because you can see there's that kind of that a separation of sisterhood going on, like there was with Dorothea and Valia. With the first Reverend Mother.
Getting factions again, for sure. Loyalists and separatists. Yep.
So then you have the whole play, which we talked about before show, where she's like, can you loosen these? I feel like a prisoner. I'm doing fine. And she undoes it. And all of a sudden you see Jin just kind of sloop down. And
sleepy time.
You know that she's not herself at this point.
Now,
one of the ancestors taken over.
Let's put a pin in this, because we were singing this actress's praises last week, Mage's Guild in particular. So now this girl's played 3 characters. 3.
She is phenomenal. And I have her name pulled up here.
Good. Yes.
It's Chloe. Chloe
Leah.
Yep.
Leah.
3 distinct characters played by one actress. Fantastic.
Her career is going to be phenomenal, and I can't wait to see her in more productions.
Like her portrayal as not broken little girl, but like young, immature, youngest person on the team, Lila, is distinctly different than when she inherited or put on the air of Mother Raquella, who was all, I'm in charge, I'm knowledgeable, we're going to do this, and this to figure out, get to the bottom of this problem. And then when she brings on the air of, the not the air of, you know what I mean? The personality of Dorothea, completely different, ruthless, driven, going to get right at the problem of things and convince people this is what we're going to do now. I will restore us. Completely different people in 3 characters. Nicely done.
Chloe Leah portrayed a young child, a child that has matured and become a reverend mother. Sister Dorothea, an old woman, and Sister Raquella, an old woman, and Sister Dorothea, a zealot, all in the same show over a span of 6.5 hours.
Incredible.
Phenomenal.
Incredible.
I would go so far as to say that she's the best actress in the entire show because of this.
I think I might agree with that, because she's had a level of complexity assigned to her that everybody else who's done a perfectly fine job, nothing's really standing out except this.
You don't see this in child actors. You just don't. It's very rare, and that's why I said I think coming soon you're going to see Chloe Leah in a bunch of productions. I hope.
Agreed. I think she's only going upward from here. So she spikes Jen in the neck. She slips the restraints, and she just decides to walk out of the secret lab.
Yep, walks out of the secret lab and into a cone of silence between sisters, as they all freak out. So they believe her that she was dead, and they're like, "It's a miracle." But she's talking to him like, "Where's this sister? Where's this sister?"
Those silence fields. The silence fields are from the original Dune novel,
which inspired. Was that inspired by Get Smart, or did that or did Get
No,
Smart?
it's before it was before Get Smart.
It was before Get Smart.
It wasn't Get Smart in black and white in like 1950.
No, it was in the 70s.
Was it?
Yeah.
Get Smart was in color for.
Wait, Get Smart didn't have a black and white? Really?
No.
Right.
You might be thinking of Dragnet.
Yeah, maybe I watched a lot of Nick at Night growing up, so maybe they overlapped in the time schedule. But anyway, never mind Nick at Night and Dragnet and Get Smart. Keep going. But the cone of silence is awesome. So tell me about that scene.
They have the cone of silence, and which is one of my other scenes that I picked out of like just small details that you would miss. So she says her thing to the sisters there, and then she walks off, and she's like, then it goes like to outside the dome, and you see her walking off, and the one girl who was listening in, I don't know her name, but the Asian looking one, I don't know her name, but I mean that's a descriptor. She says something to the other sisters, but you don't hear it because the camera's outside the dome. And it's just that small little details.
Kasha is her name.
Say again?
Kasha is her name.
Okay, Tasha.
Kasha, K.
Kasha.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kasha says something and there's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
good
that small little detail.
It's the opposite of leaving a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks cup up on the fireplace in the last episode of your final season of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? It's the opposite of that. It's paying attention to detail. Good stuff.
Choose.
Choose.
Yeah. And which they go right to that. No, next is the what happened next? Hold on.
I was actually shocked that all of the 4 of them had the voice at that point.
But see, but again, set up and payoff. They asked Valia after she demonstrated the ability if she could teach them that. So I feel like enough of a seed was planted that when they deployed this ability en masse later, with Valia leading the way, and then the other 2, and then Tula, I'm like, oh, dude, Tula's gonna sit this out. She's not gonna do it, and then she does it, which is a setup for later in the episode at the end, where she goes, "No, we're both wolves. We both eat without cost." I'm like, she's fucking exactly right.
Yeah.
Like this show sets up and pays off staggered in increments every 10 minutes. It's amazing. It's damn amazing.
Yeah, that scene.
I'm sad people aren't watching this.
Which sets up like you have her go in there and she's reading like all of them have been erased. And like, they all disbanded. They couldn't find it. So she ran out there to that and they kept like throughout the whole series, you see them kept doing a satellite view of that pit. Of the pool. It was always right there. It was like just right there hidden in your face. And
I'm going to have a nitpick about this, by the way. This is one of the things that
you warned us, so lay into it. This is the moment. Yep.
Why in the world would they put them in the pool in the middle of their citadel instead of just disposing of them outside somehow, getting rid of them, burning them? There are so many other ways to get rid of bodies in the real world, much less in Dune, that it doesn't make perfect sense that they're there other than for the plot. This I conceive as a contrivance just to have a visual effect. And on top of that, how in the world would Dorothea know to look in the pool and to drain it to find them?
She was dead. Good point. But unless that was a bit of Lila shining through from Dorothea.
I don't think so.
No,
I
she
think
wouldn't have known either. She was just
no one should have known other than the people that actually put them there. When you're looking for bodies, you don't just go to the first convenient place. That doesn't make any sense. But
I have a semi thought there, right? If it's 4 girls that just committed a mass murder, and of course they have a velo, which is the best part of that scene, being the only one that's like, no, I'm on board. Don't cut me. I'm good. I'll follow. Right? Maybe if that was am I to believe that because the school was just growing or just starting at that point, was that almost everybody that was at the school at that time that ended up getting cut?
That's a good question, but I would think that if you're going to murder
the other half, well, I got one more half, so then you can do both because you can explain to me. If they had murdered all of these people that were in opposition to them, and then just dumped the bodies in the closest nearest place they could have dumped them, they wouldn't have had to explain to anybody else that everybody was gone if everybody was dead.
Well, there are certainly
in the marsh. It means put them in the marsh.
Right.
But here's the thing: bodies float.
True. That's a great point.
But eventually,
but it takes a while.
It's still a huge plot contrivance, especially with Lila as Dorothea hammering that's the
bigger part. That's the bigger contrivance. Like, how did she know?
How would you know that they're there? It doesn't make sense. And that's literally one of the things that on my second watch just dragged me out of the episode.
I think that's a big enough to drop them a point where you can be like, they wanted the visual of draining the well so they could give that Kingsley top-down shot and see the mass grave.
I drained half a point out of this scene, not a full one.
To be fair.
Because that's how I work. When I find a plot contrivance, it's a 0.5 negative.
Noted.
Okay.
All right, keep push forward.
All right, so we're gonna have to pick up some speed here as we are getting close to our hour mark.
Rip through a few because I want to spend a good amount of time on the ending for sure.
So the ending is so like so much happens in the and the way they edit it to make sure that it overlap, because first thing you have Valia getting to the prison using the voice and to free Inez, and then she pulls a power play on her like, no, this wasn't a suggestion, he's coming with us. So they have to rework their plan with Theodosia, who's already looks like the princess, and they're like, we'll slow you down, and he's like, I'll give you as much time as you need. And then they head out. During this time, you have the Emperor confronting Francesca, which is very heartfelt because she shows her the needle that she was going to use, supposed to kill him with, and she goes, Valia's plan, not mine. And like, you did see that she actually has feelings for him, but he's been like played and manipulated so much over his life. He doesn't believe anything. He's like, how do I know you're not lying to me now? And
then she gives him the needle, or she puts the needle down.
Yeah, she puts
he pulls the knife. Yeah, it's all poor guy.
And then you have the scene of them escaping in the cars, and like Swordmaster Atreides just ripping through people. Like,
he has some backup there, dude.
I have an objection to this scene, and this is where the other half point comes from. This is not how shields work. He is hitting them. He is hitting them with rapid sword hits. Yep. Shields deflect that.
Right. They deflect the fast one and only go to slow drive, which they get right a couple of times.
I understand that they did this for the. I understand they do this for the rule of cool. They want a fast-paced sword fight, but you got to get it right in this case, and that's where the other big half point came from, because those shields should have been lit blue in accordance with the show. deflected the swords, and they should have had a much longer, protracted fight where they actually had to pierce the shields to save themselves.
One thing I like a lot about that scene where Mother Valley goes into battle is the changing command she gives, where she's like, "Kill yourself, defend me, kill him." The defend me part had me cheer, and I was like, "Oh snap!" Because she did that thing like in game where you convert the low level enemy NPC to turn around and go fight his boys. I love that.
And all of that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was so cool. That's rule of cool applied. I got to give it to him. Only a half point off for sure.
And Theodosia as the dead soldier.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Screamers. I had shades of screamers.
Chef's kiss. I thought she was going to be just the princess the whole time, but Chef's kiss as the dead soldier, that came out of nowhere.
When when the dead soldier started like whispering, "Come closer," I'm like, "Oh, here comes the blade."
Oh yeah.
Here it comes. Here's the shank.
Sister Valia says, "Sisterhood first."
Just sends her regards. Shank, 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 casino style. Just dumped him. That was good shit. Now I don't get now. He had her locked up at the end of that scene because he palm fisted her, basically knocked her out.
Knocked her out.
She's not, because he said put this thing in the cell, right?
This abomination.
She started transforming in that.
Oh, that's
scene.
right. Yes. And then his other guard came in and saw that. I'm like, is he gonna have to kill this guy? Like, is he gonna have to kill the other witness that way panic doesn't spread? Because I might have killed him. I'm just saying. I mean, don't clip that. I might have done it. But anyway, keep us moving, King. We're good. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Evidence for the sisterhood's betrayal, so he needs her as evidence.
True. No, but he might not need a witness that could say that she can shape form and that the doppelgangers are amongst us, kind of thing. Like,
well, no, that plays perfectly into his agenda because he's going to show that the sisterhood is creating abominations,
and they can do that. So we don't know. So we have to tighten secure. Oh yeah, it's some Patriot Act shit. I understand that. Okay. All right, Kingsley, we're going great for time on this accelerated pace. Keep us moving.
All right. Two things that we did miss that I want to point out because they're big factors. One, when Swordmaster Atreides is being tortured, he tells a story about a kid that walked with the Atreides, and then when they were out on a hunt, killed them all. Tula became a urban legend. In the Atreides family, which is awesome.
Great.
And then the other thing was we finally got the answer. What we talked about last week was the thing that Baron Harkonnen got. He's like, was it a jewel? Was it a thing? And it comes out to be a camera that blends into everything.
Yes.
So here's where I'll admit that I was wrong because I thought that was something from the books, which it isn't. But it's probably machine technology.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it had some holographic 3D scanning recording.
It's technology from the thinking machines.
Almost assuredly. Good pickups.
It doesn't look like that it's smart. It just looks like it's very high tech.
Which could maybe there's an algorithm. It's got Siri. I don't know what they have 10,000 years ago in the Imperium. I don't know.
But this is technology that would be outlawed and forbidden.
Okay.
That's why, and that's why we bring you in to defer to the rules of the franchise as established. But I just like to point out that I knew it was a recording device. I said it was a recording device. You guys like, it's buying a planet. It's this, it's that. It's a bomb. I'm like,
well, realize at the time, Desmond Hart was all, I'm against thinking machines. And now with the reveals in this episode, we know otherwise. So
thinking machine.
Now this thing being thinking machine made technology makes sense. That's why I didn't think it was going to be anything that you said, because, I mean, as far as we know, he was a Butlerian anti-thinking machine, swordmaster. And now we know different
stuff like that. It's always some animals are more equal than others, and that the people telling you can't have some shit are the ones that have some shit.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem admitting that I was wrong. I especially love it when there's a twist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the best kind of wrong, where you're just like, oh snap, it's 180 degrees the opposite of what I thought. It's more fun that way. King Z, keep us moving, please. Go.
So then
I'm hyped.
We're gonna hop into the face off between Mother Valia and Desmond. All guards are dead, and she's like, you told me you'd show me my end. Well, let me see it. And so he unleashes his little thing, which we find out is that he's triggering a virus that's in every human at this point. This virus lives dormant.
Not every human. No, it's just in the humans that he's been in contact with.
She actually said that it's in all of us.
And all of the sisterhood, because they contracted it from when they got the corpse back.
Burn Kasha. Right.
Okay. I thought she meant that it's in all of us that just lays dormant because they released it on us and it just spread like a mutation in us that can be activated.
No, there are billions. There are actually trillions of humans in the galaxy. It's not in everyone. It's just all of the sisters have it.
Yeah, I didn't get a read on it like it was The Walking Dead either, where like, the asteroid thing happened and got everybody. So no matter what, when you die, you turn or whatever. I thought it was just the sisterhood based on like how you guys explained to me that the virus wasn't sent to somebody light years away. It was on the body that the initial victim along with Pruitt. But I was on board with that also.
But battle,
he's the trigger. He's the catalyst. He can just set it off.
Yeah, and the battle between the two of them, which you saw that he's being taken out because he had that knife stab in him, so it's taking a lot out of him. It's taking everything out of her, and then that's when Tula shows up and starts trying to talk her through it. And then
I want to talk about the fear of her dream, though. We need to talk about that. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe
really quick. Absolutely, that's exactly what I want to see.
That's important. The only thing she's afraid of is that.
The visual effects of her going from her young self to her old self back and forth.
So cool.
Phenomenal. So
cool.
Yes, and that was the one that I wanted to highlight. I'm like, that's pro level editing because it was seamless. You had no idea where the edit. When you know there's a good editor, you never see the cut. And she did an amazing job cutting this. I was like, you can ask my wife. We were there later, and I'm like, that was awesome. Did you see that?
And even beyond the edit involved there, and not even the content of like what the story was doing, the visuals, the effects of like when the wind's blowing and whipping across the ice, and the ice is creaking,
and her fingers turning to sand.
Yes, the resolution of that, not turning to ice, not turning to snow, and turning to sand.
Then you also saw like the working of like the visual we saw earlier when they were fighting the virus of the white and the black above them fighting each other as well.
Callbacks. It's all callbacks.
This is where she sees the face of the enemy. And I'm going to give you my lore analysis real quick.
Yep.
This is Omnius. I'm sorry, not Omnius. Erasmus. So in the books, 2 copies of Erasmus and 1 copy of Omnius survived the Battle of Corin. Two of those are launched as electronic probes into space, which leads into Dune 7. But one of them is taken by Gilbertus Albans, the first Mentat, who was created and raised by Erasmus to Lampetus and spent all of his time trying to get a new body. I think that in season 2, they are going to bring Erasmus into this show, and that is going to be absolutely brilliant.
I'm hyped for just hearing you talk about it being hyped, honestly.
Erasmus is the sadistic robot. He got trapped in a crater for a long time, centuries, and developed his own personality as an independent robot. And he spent his entire career, as we might call it after that, performing experiments on human beings on Corin.
I can't wait for this. Honestly, this season
he is the one that killed Sarah Butler, anyway, her baby, and created the Butlerians. He created the jihad because he just took her baby and threw it out of a window.
Oh God. Here we go.
This is how cruel this entity is.
I can't wait.
He actually survives until Dune 8.
So, quick question on that: is that the one who put the thing on his cerebral, his optic nerve,
his eye out,
or is that the person behind the scenes that's watching? There looks like there's an overlord that's actually controlling as well.
I think that the shadowy figure in the background is Gilbertus Albans, the first Mentat, and that Erasmus is performing the surgery.
Okay.
Which was gruesome and awesome.
Because you had that person in the background who looked like they were actually overseeing it and was controlling everything.
Did you notice they didn't introduce Mentats in this series? They only referenced them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think the second book of Great Schools of Dune is focused on the Mentats.
So they're sitting on.
And
I think season 2 is going to be focused on Gilbertus Albans, who actually ends up getting executed by the Butlerians in the end. But He also underwent the life extension treatment. He's hundreds of years old.
Be introducing complex and powerful figures.
Just like Vorian Atreides, he is a figure from old Earth.
Okay. See, and that's one of the things you do with a great series.
I mean, the Old Earth Empire.
Yeah, you have a very small picture in season 1, and then you build the world bigger and build the world bigger on each season. So that's something you should do. Is like you should be able to talk about something that's happening somewhere else, but not actually show it until it's time. When you open it up a little bit bigger, when you have time to explore it properly, instead of just throwing it in there as a quick cut scene.
Well, so the fact that they lace in references to the Beneath Laylax and all of these other factions, but they don't show them until it's absolutely necessary is good storytelling.
Oh yes, definitely.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Agreed. You're sowing a field for later. I wanted in this scene just as we come up
real
against
quick,
it.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Quick.
I like that they don't go into long diatribes explaining what these things are. They just expect the audience to accept it and go with it.
Exactly.
I'm operating under the assumption they tell me what I need to know as I need to know it.
Yep.
Perfect. I just on this scene too. We'd be remiss if we didn't discuss. We talked about the style of it. So the only thing that Valia is afraid of, or the thing she fears most, is losing her brother's respect, losing her brother, losing his love, falling out of favor with him,
and actually everything being her fault.
Right, and it being her fault, being unable to save him. However you want to take it, is her fear there is that it's Griffin falling through the ice as kids, where she uses her voice to order him to swim. It's what he credited her for in episode whatever it was 2 when we got that in 3 whatever when we got that flashback. And of course he's like, well, you've killed us all, we're all dead because of you, it's all your fault. And that's when she starts losing the battle against the machine virus, because she had already been fighting it down a little, but then it flares back up like it did with the doctor earlier. And that's when Tula is like, you can't fight it through strength, let it go. And I'm like, that's fucking
you're gonna have to let it pass through you.
Dude, right. And then she talks her through it.
I need to give the quote here.
Hit me.
It's the mind killer.
There it is.
Let it pass over you and through you. And when you look back at it with the mind's eye, it will be nothing. It's a paraphrasing because I'm trying to be quick, but
it's okay because they went even quicker than you did. They pared it down to everything, like that one line.
But yes, but they're learning. They don't know this yet. I think the show is setting up this line for next year. Or
I could see series. That, like an evolution of what they've learned. I could see that.
I will not fear. I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Yep. Digging it.
So quickly to finish this off, Valia wins through. She sees the worm, and we just talked about her vision after the worm comes through, and she sees the operation that happened to Desmond and the shadowy figure in the background, and she's like, "I know what happened to him, and like I can finish it now." And then Tula, out of nowhere, uses the voice. Stop. She's like, what are you doing? And then she's like pretty much going on, let a mother take care of this.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's on you now. And she puts her knife away and she walks away. It was a much bigger interaction. You guys have to go back and watch it. So but the scene between her and Desmond is the best part of her, like him knowing that that's her mother now. Yep. And then it was like he touches her and he knocks her away.
Does. He swipes her hand away first.
And then they have that moment and they're looking and she wipes his face like she did when she was when she was a baby.
Yeah, we skipped over that scene about how she kept it from Tula.
And that was the thing is like she tells her that we're two wolves. Yeah. And then
feed it no cost, no concern of cost.
And then she's like, I need to save you from Valia, from me, from the sisterhood. So you did have a real life. And
that's what she's saying to the baby in the flashback. Yeah. And then she swaps out without telling Valia, who thinks that her baby died. She swaps out Desmond
changeling
for the stillborn baby's body, which was gruesome and heartfelt and terrible just to see. She moves the baby's cloak down over the face. You knew it was a baby, obviously, because the other sister brought him the swaddle. You know what I mean?
And they explained what happened.
Right. I'm like, oh my god, this is Game of Thrones. That's a Game of Thrones move. But
the levels of lies. The levels of lies
It was so good. She lied to her sister for the best reason, and she laid it out there in the only bit of exposition that the episode really needs to hammer home, where it's on the nose, where it's like, you deserve to be free from this sisterhood, from Valia, from me. The "from me" part is a banger of an exclamation point, and it sinks that shot, and we revisit it later in the episode, and after Desmond Hart swatted away her arm, she goes in for the hug, and like he hugs her back.
And well, just like arrest her.
Right.
Just like in the Penguin, we know these people are horrible people.
Oh, dude,
we don't need to feel sympathy for them. But I will tell you, the scene where Desmond and Tula embrace for only a moment actually brought a tear to my eye.
I believe it. I was feeling it.
It was perfect. It was a perfect call to everything. And then him saying arrest her for one of two reasons. One, he's staying true to his oath. And two, so she can't get away again from him.
Well, I also think that part of it is going to be the machine programming. But the way he says it is so depressed and dead.
He's defeated. He's defeated. Yeah, it's good stuff. I loved every bit of that scene as well, too. Just watching her slowly walk away, watching him be dumbfounded by the whole thing. But again, this is good. I love that every interaction that these people have has massive implications for later. Valia left on her own accord and said, "I'm leaving you to it. It's in your hands." And then Tula makes the wrong play. This is going to have implications for all three of them later. Because I don't know how she walked away knowing she wasn't going to kill him.
I don't think she never wanted to kill him.
No.
I don't think it's the wrong play at all. No, of course not. She expressly said to Valia, "I want to save him."
Yeah, I want to save him.
No. That's what I'm saying. How does Valia not know that this is going to be a bad play, leaving her sister to kill the guy she wants dead and to end the reckoning?
No, she said I'm leaving this to you. Not that I want him dead. I'm leaving this to you. This is going to be your choice from here on out.
Right. She's letting Tula choose between helping her son. Oh, yeah.
Kill him.
But the thing is that she wants to get away. So it's her perfect chance to get away.
Dude,
and
we've seen this chick with that throwing knife. She hit a cockroach on a wall without looking at 10 feet. She could have flicked the wrist and done it after she was free of the voice. I'm just saying. It was options.
Against her sister?
So self-green right now. I got a gun right in my room. We could pop him right now.
We're both out of here.
So, all right, I'm gonna clarify this real quick. They are sisters, as we have mentioned in the earlier segment. They are united.
Yes,
they're not going to go against each other. Tula and Valia could stand off against each other, and Tula even says, "I could take over the sisterhood anytime I wanted."
True.
Yeah.
So
you're not wrong.
Sisters above all.
Sisters above all. What a banger episode, man.
But the end ends the only way to possibly end. Which, for the first time, I've actually seen the space travel in any Dune live action.
I wanted to praise this. The way that they did the space folding,
I like that.
Highliner comes out and they have all of the optical effects around it, like it's a black hole. Absolutely great visual effects.
Oh, yeah.
Spot on banger.
Not flashy, not overdone, not overproduced, no weirdness. I like that. It's very subtle and unique.
Did you notice that in the Dune films, we've never fucking seen a Highliner?
Yes, that's what I said. The same thing while we were watching. It's the first time we've seen this type of movement. Usually you see them flying out of it, or you're just floating there. You never actually see it do what it's supposed to do.
Exiting hyperspace, whatever they call it, right?
It's fold space.
Fold space. There we go. That's a new one for me. I like that. That's cool. Cool. How do we end up?
We end
with the
up
three of
on
them
Arrakis.
On Arrakis, right? And the prince, and then Mother Valia says to Nez, so if this is the first step close to our enemies. Credits, and I'm like, exactly, Mage. I'm like, yep. Okay, you guys did it.
I did not think we were going to see Arrakis in this show. I'm glad that we did, although I would have liked to see a couple of other planets.
Who knows? Who knows where we're going to see? Season 2, we know.
I'm
stoked.
What I'm hoping is that over time, this show gains enough of a following that the budget for the next season increases and we get more episodes.
Oh, I hope as long as it stays pacing wise, nice and
yeah,
6 to 8. I don't
please,
not 9.
Please,
not 10,
no more skeleton crew. No skeleton crew.
No filler.
By the
No
way,
filler.
are you guys doing Skeleton Crew this week, or is that off?
We
I'm
haven't
watching
discussed.
tomorrow. We're trying to figure it out. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow morning.
We'll
I'm
figure it
going to
out.
unfortunately watch it tonight.
God bless you.
And I'd be happy to be on the show if you want me for it.
We'll take a peek as we plan it out. We're not sure what our Christmas plans are just yet. We'll sort it out.
It can be any day. Oh my goodness! I wrote a metal song about this. I sent that to you, Wilf.
I haven't been on my Twitter a whole lot today. I'll have to go back and take a peek.
Yeah, well, just go to my Star Wars Complaint channel. It's on there.
Well, good point. I keep forgetting that you ran that up. But dude, Kingsley, do we have 2 minutes to do like just a final overall, and then we can get out of here for that hard exit?
Yeah, 2 more minutes. We're out.
All right, May, just give me your overall for this episode and how well it stuck the landing for you. One more time for everybody.
As quickly as I can. I think this episode was a perfect ending for the show, and I have revised my rating now to a 9 out of 10.
Nice, dude. That's pretty slapping. While King Z's off the headphone, I think I got to come in very similar to that. It's a near perfect show. It's an unexpected gem, dude. It's back to back unexpected gems because I thought the Penguin was gonna suck. Like I had no faith in that show up front. I was part of the crew that was gonna lambaste that ahead of time. So this is now 2 in a row. You guys have talked about it all the time. They earned whatever respect and confidence.
I did not think that Colin Farrell was a good pick until I saw the first episode, and then I was like, I'm sold.
50%,
you win.
50% of it for me too. Yep, that's what I mean. Like, shut up and take my money. You know, like whatever random project that's in genre that they say they're going to do next, I'm just going to go watch the first episode without any negativity up front at all. Kingsley, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's why I was saying HBO is the new king of streaming. Their shows have been on par. Minus, I'm guessing what you guys are saying, the end of season 2 of House of Dragon was
just a little let down, but the production and everything else about it, the twists and turns, while somewhat predictable, were still very well done.
The blue-haired pirates were filler.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they've taken over from Netflix. They've taken over from D+. They've taken over from Amazon Prime. This is where you go for quality shows based on what we've seen so far. I love this show. This show has been great. Like I said, I saw it on a commercial and thought it was let's give it a try. Let's give it a try because we enjoyed the movies. And I was like, let's give it a try. And I'm so glad that we did. I've looked forward to it week for week. I'm extremely sad that it's over. Hopefully season 2 doesn't take 2 years to come out, but maybe I do hope that takes 2 years to come out so they can do it.
Oh, no. I know that then it falls into the Netflix trap, but we'll have to talk about that on another episode because it's Christmas Eve, and I could talk about 15 more minutes on that. So on behalf of everybody at Winter Wolf's Den, I just wanted to say for me and King Z, and he can say it himself, but Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you're doing tomorrow. Stay safe, spend time with your people. You only go around once, all that good stuff. We love you guys. Thank you for checking out the show. Go watch Dune Prophecy. Get it trending if you can after the finale. It needs more eyes. You're missing out on a great show. And King Z, for a heartfelt adios or whatever you want to do. Feliz Navidad, whatever.
Well, thank you for being here. Thanks, Mage Dillard, for being here. Thank you,
Winter
Wolf, for taking time. And we will say, well, see ya.